Okay, here's a question for you. What if the tech that helps doctors spot diseases faster is actually the same kind of tech that banks use to stop fraud cold?
It sounds a bit disconnected at first glance, doesn't it?
Yeah, seems unlikely.
But it's absolutely true. Both fields are being transformed by, well, just massive amounts of data, and Google BigQuery is often right there in the middle, making sense of it all.
Right. So for our listeners who are data professionals, maybe thinking about where to go next in their careers, this sounds pretty important.
Oh, definitely. You really need to pay attention to this. Healthcare, financial services. These industries aren't just swimming in data, they're actively hunting for people who can turn that data into, real value, actionable insights.
Okay, so it's not quite enough to just be brilliant with BigQuery itself then.
Nope. That's the baseline, really.
You need to speak the language too,
Yeah,
like the industry specifics.
precisely. Your BigQuery skills, that's your foundation. But the real power, the thing that really accelerates your career, comes when you layer on that deep understanding of healthcare data or financial data and all the rules that go with them.
We're talking about like hospitals dealing with patient records, imaging data, genomics, tons of stuff.
Yeah.
And banks tracking billions of transactions, right? All while regulators are watching closely.
Exactly. It's a huge challenge. Petabytes of sensitive information, often needing analysis in near real time.
So how does BigQuery even start to handle that kind of scale and sensitivity?
Well, that's where BigQuery really shines. Its ability to scale up for massive data sets is key. Plus, it does it with incredible speed and, crucially, robust security.
Security being paramount, I imagine, especially in healthcare.
Absolutely. Think about HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Protecting patient privacy is non-negotiable. BigQuery has features built in specifically for that kind of governance and security.
Okay, so it's fast, scalable, and secure. It ticks the right boxes for these regulated fields. Can you give me a sort of practical example in healthcare?
Sure. Consider predicting hospital readmissions. That's a big one. Hospitals want to avoid patients needing to come back soon after discharge.
Right, better for the patient, better for costs.
Exactly. So using BigQuery, maybe with BigQuery ML, it's built-in machine learning, they can analyze huge amounts of historical patient data, diagnoses, treatments, demographics, length of stay, all of it.
To spot patterns,
Yeah.
predict who's at higher risk.
Precisely. And this allows for proactive steps, maybe extra follow-up care for some patients. And someone who understands healthcare data standards like HL7 or FHIR, these are formats for exchanging health info, they can build much more effective models because they understand the meaning behind the data points.
That makes sense. It's not just coding, it's understanding the context,
Mhm.
the why. Okay, so what about finance?
Yeah.
The pressures there feel different, more immediate maybe?
Yeah, often the urgency in finance is about real time. Think fraud detection. You need to spot a bad transaction now, not hours later.
Milliseconds count.
They really do. BigQuery's ability to ingest and analyze streaming data is critical there. Financial institutions can feed transaction data in as it happens and use ML models again, maybe built right in BigQuery, to flag suspicious activity almost instantly.
And those models learn over time, better than static rules.
Much better. They adapt to new fraud patterns, but again, the data engineer or analyst needs to know the landscape. Things like AML anti-money laundering rules or data security standards like PCI DSS for payment cards. That knowledge is vital.
So healthcare might be looking back to predict forward for patient care, while finance is often about spotting threats right this second.
That's a good way to put it. Different primary focus, maybe, but in both cases, that blend of BigQuery skill and deep industry understanding is absolutely the key differentiator.
Right. It's knowing the specific problems, the regulations, the really critical questions that need answers from the data in that specific field.
That's it. That's when a data professional becomes truly indispensable.
So if someone listening is thinking, okay, I want to move into healthcare data or maybe finance, what's the first step after getting good with BigQuery?
Immerse yourself in the industry's language. Seriously, pick one, healthcare or finance, and start learning the key terms, the big regulations.
Like pre-P, HL7, FHIR you mentioned for healthcare?
Or for finance, start looking into SOX, Sarbanes-Oxley, or AML, maybe even basic concepts about financial instruments like derivatives if you're going deep.
And. Just knowing the terms isn't enough, right?
No, you need to apply it. Try building some projects, even small ones. Use public data sets if you need to. Maybe a proof of concept model for predicting hospital admissions, or simulate a basic real-time fraud check. Show you can connect the tech to the domain.
That makes sense. Build a portfolio that speaks the industry's language.
Yeah.
And what about for the hiring managers, the leaders in these hospitals or banks?
My advice is always Look beyond just the list of technical skills. Probe for understanding of the industry context.
So ask about the risks, the regulations.
Yes. Does the candidate understand why data governance is so critical in our field? Do they grasp the potential impact, positive or negative, of the analysis they're doing? That relevance is often more important than knowing every single BigQuery function on day one. Find people who get the why.
This has been fascinating. It really highlights how a powerful platform like BigQuery becomes even more powerful in the hands that understand the specific world the data lives in.
Absolutely. The potential in both healthcare and finance is just enormous, and BigQuery is a fantastic enabler. But it's the people who bridge that gap between the tech and the industry knowledge who will really drive things forward.
Well, for anyone wanting to dig deeper into this, we strongly suggest checking out the full blog post. It's called Your BigQuery Career Path in Healthcare and Financial Services. It goes into more detail on roles, skills, all that stuff. We'll link to it.
It's a great resource.
And if you are a data professional looking for these kinds of opportunities, or maybe you're leading a team and need this kind of talent, definitely check out Curate Partners. They specialize in making these connections.
Good call. They really understand this space.
All right, that's all for this deep dive. Until next time, keep building boldly where data meets decisions.